Doug Jr., I want to start with you. We've talked about a couple of years ago your business background, and I guess I'm just curious, how does that aid you when you're jumping around trading picks with other teams? Because you guys have done that quite frequently over the last 2 years. How does your business background maybe aid you in that process?
I think it was just more learning about it because Joe handles a lot of it at the table and figuring out where we're going to go and stuff. So we kind of prep for like the valuation of the picks. So we have our own value charts, and we just try and merge it in between with where the players are going to go. So it's funny. Joe 2 years in a row got us 2 7s for a fifth, and we call it the Joe Will special now. So we ended up with 4 7s, which was pretty funny this year. But we got some good players.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because you moved down. Obviously, it was pretty big jump moving down from fifth, but getting that extra seventh. Was that just a matter of there were a lot of guys that you liked, so you just figured those, you would have a good pool to pick from among those 4 seventh rounders?
Yeah, the guys we had in the 7th round, they were all really good players. Linus Oberg has 5 goals in 4 SHL games right now. Adam Raska is on the Czech World Junior team. Timothy Spitrov scored almost 50 goals last year, and we should have drafted Alex Young last year, and so we're lucky we got him this year. He led the Alberta Junior League in scoring 2 years in a row. So, when we looked at it, we just said it was a deep draft. Let's get as many chances as we possibly can. That's how we ended up with, I believe, nine picks this year.
Curtis Pashalka.
Hey guys, good afternoon. Obviously, the first trade of the day was moving down 4 spots in the second round again to get Thomas. What do you like about him, and were you confident he would kind of still be there at 38?
No, we weren't confident he was going to be there. It was a calculated risk to move down from 34 to 38 to get 100, but that's kind of where we were hoping to go with Thomas, and he was kind of the guy on our board. So from the research we had done, we thought we had a really good chance at him, and thank goodness we got him. A left shot center, top center on the U.S. national team, really, really good kid. We're really happy with him. He was a big time pickup. That's why I think we said yesterday it was going to be a really hard decision at 34, and we just tried to figure out where we did take the guy at the right time, and I think it worked out well.
Shang Peng.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. All your draft picks forwards, was that sort of a plan, or that's sort of the plan? Or are you guys going to move any of these guys to defense or what?
No, honestly, we just went with best player available. And, we signed Brinson Pashnuk. Our last couple of drafts, we drafted Ryan Merkley, Santeri Hitaka, Artemi Yatsev, Mario Ferraro, plus obviously with, Seamek, Vlasic, Burns, and Carlson. We were fortunate to be able to take best player available. We had some D on our list. They just didn't fall, to where we picked. So that's how it went.
Kevin Kurz.
Yeah, Doug Sr., you said yesterday that, when you look at teams that are successful, there's different categories that have changed that you look at and you value at a higher point. Is this a case, you look at some of the heights and weights of these guys and they skew on the smaller side. Is this a case of you guys as an organization trying to project what the league will look like in a few years and valuing skill over size?
A little bit, but I think you're looking for hockey players. You're looking for the type of ingredients that, guys could be successful in this league with, irregardless of their size. We've got guys that can skate. We've got a lot of right shot guys. I think 6 of the 9 guys that we drafted are right shot. They can all skate. They all have compete to them. They can think the game at a high level. So I just think the first 3 or 4 picks, these are young kids too. They're going to grow and evolve up into their bodies, but we just like the way they play the game. And do you come in looking for the best players? Sure you do. Did we want to replenish our forward position? Yeah, that was one of the goals, but there were a couple of defensemen and goalies that we did look at also.
Shang Peng.
I just want to ask you a couple questions about your 7th rounders. First, you mentioned Oberg with 5 goals in 4 games. That's sort of a unique circumstance, of course, that you can draft a guy who's already started his next season. Did that kind of play into you guys drafting him, being able to see his hot start this year? And then secondly, regarding Spitserov, is he going to be going to Muskegon for the next couple of years before he goes to UMass in 2022?
Yeah, so with Timothy, we're figuring out where he's going to go next year as we speak. We'll take some time. We had just talked to him, and he's going to play somewhere between now and UMass. So we'll just figure out the best place for him at this point. With Linus, it was one of the things. He's always been on the Swedish national team. We've seen him for 3-4 years, and we just figured with the extra pick, it's probably worth it to take a 7th rounder on him now, as opposed to competing with 15 other teams against him when he becomes a free agent. And, we have Shid Larson, Tommy Kallio, Nikki Sundstrom over there, who all got to know him, got to see his games, and we were able to add in the picks. I think you saw a few players this year who their season started and they had a really good start, and it might have got them into higher draft conversations than they originally were. But, 7th round pick for him instead of trying to compete in the free agent market, I think that's kind of how we looked at it.
Curtis Pashelka.
Question for Joe and one for Doug Sr. too. Joe, obviously the qualifying offers came out today. Was that a tough decision on Jeremy? Obviously he's been through a lot and kind of as far as injuries go. And for Doug, obviously Kevin LeBank's a guy who's going to probably want some more term and some more money going forward in his next deal. Do you kind of hope to have that resolved fairly shortly, or how would you kind of characterize negotiations with him right now?
Go ahead, Joe.
All right. Well, I'll answer on the qualifying offers. It's always a tough time, and what we're really governed by is the 50 contracts that we're given each year. So as we rotate through and we sign some new players in, we have to make some hard decisions on players that may not be qualified. And Jeremy kind of fell into that, and he gave it a good go here, and as he will continue to do in hockey here. And he did well. Unfortunately, he had a few injuries and such, which I think he, really himself, he just unfortunate circumstances for him.
Yeah, and as far as contract negotiations, they're all fluid. You never know when you're close to the goal line. I might think I'm in a certain place. They may think they're in a certain place, applying to all contracts that we're discussing with players out there. So I'll give you an update when there is one. Right now, obviously, it's just finishing off a long day at the draft, and that's where our focus is. But starting tomorrow morning, we've got up some of the other conversations that we have with existing players and anybody would be looking at going forward.
Kevin Curtis.
Yeah, Doug Sr. Obviously, this was kind of a long day. How was just the overall logistics of this thing? Was it smooth? Was it complicated? Just how can you maybe categorize what the day was like in that sense?
I got to tell you, it was. I give everybody a lot of credit for pulling this off, and I do. I give a lot of credit to the players and to the league and Players Association for doing everything that they had to deal with to get this season concluded. And even something like this, they had to do this on short notice. Yeah, it was long. I mean, it was longer than normal. But I think to get things done like this during times like this, it's just the way we're all at right in this world. And it's different, it's unique, it's challenging. But a lot of people behind the scenes, like our SAP technical people here, did a phenomenal job. I don't know how they did it. You learn a lot about people during times like this. You can complain and all this stuff, or you can say, let's find a way to find a solution to get through it. We got through the draft, and it was a crucial draft for us. It was very well done that the scouts and Dougie and his staff did, and Joe and Berkey and all that. The preparation, when I say there's been 160 or 170 Zoom calls in preparing for this, that's probably light. It was probably more than that. So you do the work, you get ready to go when things come upon you on your action items and your timelines. But there's no doubt it was different. But this whole year has been different, and even going forward could be different. We don't know when we're going to start. We don't know what the next draft will look like. And there's probably some things that we've done that we've learned from that will apply going forward that can even make us better at what we do.
And just to clarify, you guys were at SAP Center?
Yes.
Yeah. And who was there physically other than the three of you? And I guess Benny was there too, right?
Well, you see Joe and Dougie and myself. Everybody else was on Zoom. During the whole time, we had access to all our amateur scouts, our pro scouts. Rosemary was here, Scotty Emmert, Benny Guerrero was here. So It was locked down. There was social distancing. It was very well done that way. The hours, again, have been long, but I think, the tech people in particular, I really tip my hat to the work that they did.
Shane?
Can you talk about Gustafsson, and he's the one guy you traded up for, and just what was special about him for you guys to move up on him?
Yeah, so Daniil was in a range that we were looking at, and I think we had spoken earlier, just, there were some guys who were going to go around 40 this year that in normal years would have gone higher. He fit that bill for us, and, we really did not want to move back up in the draft. Our goal was to continue to move down. But at some point, when you get a player of that caliber, it's worth more than 2 picks. So I think with Daniil, he was, just one of 3 or 4 guys that we'd highlighted. If they get past a certain threshold, we got to try and find a way to get him. And Daniil's a great kid. He's training right now with Ivan Chekovich. They're very close friends. He was on a very bad team last year in Muskegon, and he was the leading scorer on the team. Even strength points. And it's a smaller stat, but on that team, he was plus 21. I think the next closest was minus 2 or 3 for players who played over 20 games. So he, on top of being so offensive, he's conscientious on both sides of the rink, and we just thought he was worth the risk to move back up.
And can I ask a question about Brandon too? You guys traded your pick next year for Brandon.
Yeah, Brandon. We kind of highlighted a few goal scorers, obviously, who are bigger, but, we wanted them all to be able to skate. And I'm not sure what, how Brandon ended up slipping. 6'4" right shot in the OHL with 25 goals. They don't grow on trees. So, he started slipping, and we've interviewed him a bunch, and Brian Marchment knows him better than anyone. And we took the risk to go back in and get him. It worked out well.
Go ahead, Chris.
Doug Senior, do you anticipate any of your UFAs going to market at this point? Obviously, Aaron, it looks like he'll be going, but as far as Melker or Stefan or Joe, you kind of let things play out as far as letting them go to market on Friday, or how do you approach tomorrow?
Well, I keep that pretty confidential between us. As I say, every conversation is fluid. Obviously, in the goaltending decision, we've brought Devin in, and I think that probably clarifies the direction we're going. I did talk to Aaron's agent the other day, and informed him of that direction. With the other guys, the conversations are ongoing, as we talked to you last time when we included the coaching staff that we put together, we're still wrapping up some of the things that Bob and myself have talked about personnel-wise, matching up to how we're going to play. But we certainly will have to make some decisions. Free agency is a two-way street. We obviously have the opportunity of signing and talking to somebody. They have the opportunity of going to market. That's the way the system's supposed to work. So that will be fluid going forward.
Time for a couple more here. Let's go, Shang.
Just a couple questions, the last questions for me. The 7th rounders you guys picked, you guys talked about your top 130 list. I don't know if you can say if those guys were on your top 130 list. And unrelated to the draft, you guys also qualified Tony Soon. He's a guy that didn't, play a lot for you guys last year. Do you guys kind of have him in your plans with the Sharks in the future?
Yeah, so I'll let Joe talk on that. But Shane, we won't draft anyone off our list. If they're not on our list, we'll try and trade the picks to future years.
And with Tony Soon, he's going to play in the KHL this year, much like Jonathan Dahlen's playing in Sweden. So we qualified them. They don't go against the 50 contracts on our list, so we're able to retain the rights by qualifying offer.
And Kevin Kurz?
Yeah, Doug, obviously, Friday's the start of free agency. Looking at the roster, it looks like you do have some flexibility in terms of the cap. I mean, do you feel like entering Friday, you have the ability to go in, a few different directions depending on how the chips fall?
Yeah, I think you can be part of the conversation. We've got a couple of our own guys that we're talking about. We've obviously been a little bit proactive in addressing the goaltending situation, and adding another skilled forward with some offensive capabilities. We've also got some plans, and this is the toughest part, is some of the younger players that were given opportunities at the end of last year. Would have been nice if we'd been able to get them on the ice or have a development camp or even have them in the return to play like many of the other teams did. But I know how hard they're working. So you've got to factor the unknown in, where those players are going to be at come December or January when we do come back. But no, you're always open and exploring. If we look at players that fit for now and the future, and there's somebody that fits, we'll look into it. I've said it several times. Our best players have to be our best players. They're all going to be back healthy. They have to set the tone. But you look at ways to add to your team, yes. Now, whether that's in a bigger deal or around the fringes, those are the things that we'll be talking about the next few days and see what makes sense.
Is Jumbo in San Jose, or is he still in Switzerland?
He's in Switzerland. He and I talked the other day. He was shoveling snow.
Okay, thanks.
But he said it was warm enough. He didn't have to wear a shirt. There's only Jumbo kid.
All right, thanks.
Let's wrap up here with Curtis.
Hey, Doug, did you ever play with Trevor Robb? Well, you don't know if you played with him. Do you remember seeing him at camp at all in those early days?
So I think he was in KC, right?
It was Kansas City and a little bit around here, but mostly Kansas City.
Okay. Yeah, he was wearing an old school Sharks jacket today. He said that was his signing bonus when.
It's just about coming back in style too. That's pretty cool.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.